Hey everyone, welcome to Shawn's Trains. Today I'm going to talk about the Madcity Trainshow that we just had this weekend, some stuff I picked up, some pre-orders, some used stuff I found at some smaller shops there, and a couple of different products. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to bring up to you guys is my new contact info. I've even got a business card now. So you can see here, I got Shawn'sTrainsInfo@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me about the YouTube channel. If you're thinking about sponsorship or you just have questions, things you want to see, instead of tracking me down on Facebook, you can email me there, ask me questions, tell me how I'm doing. Otherwise, you can check out the YouTube channel here so I can share these with people. I've got my logo and my New Berlin model swap at gmail.com for information on my events if you're looking to be a vendor or you want to have your club there. Or a historical society or other non-for-profits that are train related, this is a great way to get a hold of me. Also, I made these a small little car card system so I can use these for switching on my layout. Because when you buy business cards, you tend to buy them in bulk, and this is a great way to use them just in case I can't give them all away. Next, I want to talk about something I've actually had for a little bit. I just never really get around to talking about it. I've got another signal I bought from Zstuff. I picked this up at America's Best my last trip to Chicago with my friend John Kiefler. We had a lot of fun. I found this guy. There's a 3-color I want to get, but these are really cool because you can daisy chain them together and they'll actually work together. For more information, look up Zstuff Reviews on YouTube. Otherwise, check them out on their website. It's very simple to do, very simple to set up. Your IR is already on there, and there's your signal. Next up, I got another mini prints order in. I haven't gone through this yet, so we get to open this together. Very carefully packaged. We can see we've got some different people here. We've got some goats, or cows maybe doing something. We got people in different actions here. Dumping a wheelbarrow, some different figures. So these are things that you can use in the layout. A little fun scene you can put somewhere in the background. Thank you again, Bernard. You guys are doing an awesome job up there at Mini Prints. Check them out online. Check them out on Facebook. There's always something fun and interesting going on there. Next thing I want to do is I want to talk about some of these used products I bought at the train show. So I bought this at Teskey's and I bought this at another individual reseller. Now these are both used items, okay? But I want to show you guys something. And it's kind of sad. Like it's great for us, it's great for me, but it's kind of overall sad. So this thing has been in this box since it was new, probably untouched because the rubber bands were stuck to the plastic on both sides. You can see the wheels aren't touched. They're completely unscathed here. I mean, completely untouched. Never once used. The rubber bands are just broke from sitting for so long. Like, it's sad to think about that. Like, the person who bought this never even used it. That's just too bad. So, with that said, though, what I'll probably end up doing is taking the clear rubber bands off this guy just because they're falling apart so bad. And then, either hobby tacking this down into place, or just, they're not moving too far. It's not too bad yet. Might just leave them the way they are. And I bought a new pipe load from Walthers, and we can kind of compare them a little bit. And then basically it's the same story with this box car here. Alright, so this box car I bought at Teskey's. I bought it was like $20 and change with tax, so it was like $21.10 or whatever it was. I really like this car. This fits right in with the 70s that I'm modeling with the Milwaukee Road, or trying to model. It's what I'm leaning towards. So the rolling stock I buy, I'm trying to keep towards that kind of timeline. Now, mind you, this isn't the super nice, detailed stuff, and the weights come loose, which is easy. That's just some hobby tack. You can see the tapes come loose, or the tack that was in there. Just fixed it. Super easy. $20 freight car. If you're going to buy this today, you're probably looking at $25 to $30, maybe even a little bit more now. And this is just the Athearn ready to run. This is nothing special. Oh, just came loose. Not a big deal. So, again, this is another one where you can look at the wheels and you can see this car wasn't hardly used, ever, if it ever even saw life. And so, I'm happy to have it. It was a great deal for me. But the person who had this before, however many resellers bought and sold and traded this thing, Never used it. Use your stuff, please. The moment you get it home, take it out, put it on the tracks, use it a little bit. This is just sad. I mean, come on. I feel bad that some people go through their whole lives collecting this stuff and never get to use it. It's a real shame. The next thing we're going to talk about is this pipe load here from Walthers. I'm really excited for these. I've actually got one of these cars. I was going to put a log load on it for pulpwood. It's for CP rail. I just kind of want to take this out and kind of talk about the difference in quality from the Athearn to this. Obviously, there's a few other things that are different, that are different. But if you think about it, from Athearn Ready to Roll on the Sioux Line pipe load to this guy, they're really in the same ballpark, so they should be close all in the end. So let's get this guy unboxed, get it over there, and take a look. All right. I don't know how well you guys can actually see these, if they're going to come out any better. But I really wanted to show off kind of the differences here. So first of all, the older Athearn car here, I bought this for $25. They're going on eBay for between $40 and $60. I bought this car for $45, and I think they're listing for about $60. So I would say they're about comparable in price. But there's some major key differences, and I don't remember what they sold for, but I want to say it was like $30, which at the time I think a lot of people are like, wow, Athearn's out of their mind. But it's got a load. And for what stuff is selling for now, $25 for this car is an absolute steal. So let's take a look here. I'll bring this in a little bit closer for you. So we got the larger pipe here, obviously, a larger diameter, taller car. I would say that they're probably... honestly, probably about the same weight, with the Walthers maybe being a little bit heavier. I think this has got a die-cast floor in it, or at least a larger metal weight in the bottom of it than that does. But this is the plastic load that they sold as a kit. The plastic doesn't look very good. It doesn't. I don't know if you guys can see the imperfections in here. I'll turn this around a little bit. All scratched up. It's just the coloring isn't consistent. I would probably, if I were to do a plastic load on here, I'd probably paint it first. You can see on the side here, you have all the little sprues that are inconsistent on the side. It is not a pretty look. It just isn't pretty. Those, I'd have to shave all those down. You can see all the casting lines on the side. Yeah, the car is nicer than the load. The load, it deserves a nicer load. I would rather have paid another $10 for a way better load. But it is what it is. It's $45. It's ready to roll. I can't complain. I'm the one who bought it. It's at this price point. It's not like the BLMA loads and the cars that Atlas has now. So I've got no leg to stand on for complaining. With that said, let's look at the ends here. First of all, the detail's a little bit nicer on the Walthers. You've got the separately applied brake wheels here. You've got some nice markings on the end on the Sioux Line car on the top. You don't really have much on the end of this guy, I don't think, if any. And you've got the typical, molding in details. So a lot of this stuff, this is probably this is one piece that was added on. This is one huge end that's glued on. The standard stirrups on each one are molded in. And, I'd say the cars are probably very comparable. I'd say the loads are even comparable. And you've got these rubber bands that are holding this thing onto the car. You've got rubber bands holding the pipes together, and that's all that's holding the pipes together. I would say, though, that these little crossbars that are in here are probably in a little bit better shape than the Walthers car. And then, of course, the couplers. You've got your plastic McHenry full-size couplers, and then you've got Walthers Proto Max couplers. Now, we're going to turn these guys on their sides so we can take a better look that way. All right, so looking underneath, I will say that the Walthers certainly has more detail. I mean, you've got all the plumbing over here, whereas this is just, 3 parts glued into place. So Walthers takes the cake here, certainly. More detailed center beam and cross bracing and whatnot. A little bit deeper texture with the casting details on the bottom for the strength, whereas this guy's real shallow. These are much deeper. Other than that, you don't really get to see this stuff. This isn't Rapido. It's not something you're going to actively turn over to see the underside because it's so beautiful. But the Walthers does come out on top here. So, I mean, if you're going to go buy these, you're paying $50 to $60 for these on eBay, unless you can find them for a steal at a show. Otherwise, you can pick these up for between $45 and $50 at, different hobby shops and whatnot. But they both have steel wheels. They both have plastic axles. This has got metal couplers. These would get changed out. They'll both get changed out. But I would say the Walthers definitely comes out on top, especially for the price. Yeah, the load isn't the nicest, but you can clean it up, or you can buy it without the load and add your own. I think at that point the car is probably like 25 bucks. So you're paying $20 for that cheap plastic load. But that's it. That's it for those. Let's get on to the new locomotives. Here we've got the Milwaukee Road SD45 as done by Walthers Proto 2000. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Scale Trains does with theirs, but I'm really happy to have these from Proto. I'll probably get them weathered and get Keep Alives in them sometime this year if I don't put that on the back burner and completely forget about that. With that said, we've got some really nice detail in here, pretty much your standard Proto 2000 stuff. You've got your decal for your pad printing for your signs and for the lettering here that's pretty sharp. But I will point out, if we look right here, looks like a little minor paint blemish. That line across there is not perfect, not like what I'm used to seeing on Proto. So, I mean, not a big deal, not the biggest deal. These aren't like they're not premium models, but they're not as expensive as Scale Trains and Rapido and stuff like that. I would put these somewhere, 3/4 of the way up through the spectrum. You do get the good loc sound. You get some really cool lighting functions. You're getting more detail than we're used to with Proto. They're starting to do a little bit more prototype and road and number specific stuff, but we're still not to the level of Rapido and Scale Trains yet, I think. When we get there, we're going to see a really significant price jump, I think. But I'm very happy with it nonetheless. So you've got some nice printing up here, good crisp lines it looks like, and you've got your coupler, your hoses down here, your standard Proto Max couplers. Really nice number boards. One thing I've always been happy with Proto for is their number boards are always really nice. I don't know if they're doing separate panels that go in front with the lights from behind, or if it's a solid plastic piece like I'm used to seeing with the Proto models, but they're always flush. It's always nice. I know with Athearn and some other brands, sometimes it's a flat piece that sits in there, and if it doesn't get put on right, or there's too much glue, it sits cockeyed, or it's drooping from the heat and humidity during travel, whatever it is. It's nice to have this on these models here. You've got your all-weather window here on the cab. It's a very common feature on the Milwaukee Road. You've got your nice little rounded beacon, good horn. I know on some Milwaukee Road models, the inside of the horn is actually red. I'm going to see if these locomotives have that, and I'll actually add that on there. That's something I feel like I'm actually capable of doing. With that said, these are pretty standard Walthers Proto. So let's get this on the track, test it out. I just want to finish turning this around here so we can see the back. And you've got your little weed cutter plow, which is pretty standard. Milwaukee Road never really liked taking care of much, so you had to have something on each end just in case, right? Let's go take a look at it on the layout. So you might notice that there's a little microphone and the sound's probably changed a little bit in the video. And I'm using the mics now because I want to really capture the sound well. And now that I've got these little lapel mics, I can plant them on the layout near things and get a little bit better sound for you guys. I'm using my new Pro Cab throttle I picked up from Tag Trains this weekend, along with the locomotives and a nice little trailer I'll show you guys in a second. But let's fire this guy up. So we've got locomotive 3 selected. So there's the beacon. Let's kill the lights a little bit and see if that changes anything. I can dim this. So that beacon isn't particularly bright, and it's kind of a really dark orange. It's almost red. So what you're seeing on the camera here is pretty accurate. I'm not super thrilled with that. I don't know that it's inaccurate. But hey, it is what it is. So let's give it a try and see how it does. And at 1 speed step, it hasn't moved. There's 2. Nice smooth operation, a little bit of delay as to be expected. I can kind of, if you can see, the headlight on the top is kind of pointed up and the lower one's pointed down. So you don't really get an even beam until you're just above the height of the locomotive. So those are your number board lights there. That's number 6. 5 is your beacon. One thing, let's turn the lights back on. Let's pull this a little bit closer here. And overshoot it just a little bit. But what I really want to show you is the bleed, and you're going to have that in number boards like this, is the bleed through on that number board. And when the lights are off, it's absolutely visible. You can see it right there. It's not the best looking thing, but it's, I mean, I guess it is what it is. If you don't have the number boards on, you don't see it, and you can see the white just fine. So if you don't need the number boards on, I wouldn't turn them on. I'm not going to miss them horribly. But overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it. I'm sure it's going to be a great puller, and I'll pretty soon I'll have it speed matched with my SD40-2s, the SWs, and everything else, and you'll see that in consists coming really soon. The next thing I picked up from Tag Trains and pre-orders was this little Millis trailer from our Millis Transfer Incorporated. That's actually from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. So when I saw that, I really had to have it. I see them all the time, especially when I go north. It's really cool to see. I wouldn't mind a couple more of them. And while I probably won't put it on any intermodal or TOFC trains anytime soon, it's definitely good to have, and it really helps set the scene in my eyes. And if you're a local around here, you'll definitely recognize it. And the last thing I bought at the show, this is from a collection that was being sold, are these really nice fixed loads. So I've got one there on my loader, as you can see. There's a couple different sizes of lumber you might be able to make out, but I paid 15 bucks for that. And if I would have gotten there just a few seconds sooner, I would have had 2 bags of them, and there's 14 pieces each, and they're going to make beautiful, beautiful early loads on a flat car. Like you would have seen shipped in the 60s and 70s. So I really like those. They'll fit in my area. They'll fit if I go northwest. So I'm really happy with those. And if anything, they look great in a lumber yard or this, single track transload facility. So they're lightweight. They look great. I don't think I'd be able to make anything that nice without a lot of work. So for 15 bucks, that was a great buy. And that's how you find stuff like this. These super detailed, super nice, super convenient, and super priced loads and stuff like this is by going to shows and by going to swap meets. And with that said, I got to plug my own, the New Berlin Model Train Swap coming up April 23rd, 2023. We have 100 tables sold, just over 100 tables in attendance at the OAW on Racine Avenue in New Berlin, Wisconsin. We've got 2 more shows after that this year, and I'm working on a 2-day show in November. Since TrainFest has been canceled for this year, they will be back for 2024. Thank goodness. I was kind of afraid when I read that first paragraph on the website, but they will be back, and I'm sure they'll be back with a vengeance, so I'm really looking forward to it. In the meantime, I'm putting on a couple events, and here's some info on that. Well, that wraps it up, folks. Thanks for watching another episode of Shawn's Trains. Special thanks to Superior Scenics for sponsoring my channel, and to the swap meet and the show. I've had a lot of great feedback at the Madison show, and everyone there has been super helpful, super welcoming. And if you're interested in more info, feel free to email me or check out the New Berlin Model Swap and Show on Facebook. Thanks for watching Shawn's Trains, and we'll see you in the next episode.